All right, moving into day 3 of scatter plots here, we're going to start looking at lines of best fit and how to find them. So first off here, it says the scatter plot shows data for the size and price of 12 houses for sale in a small town. Draw a good line of fit for these data and explain why you think it's a good fit. So what I notice is that there's two clusters here. We have this one and we have this one, and then we have this point in the middle. So when you draw a line of best fit and you're not mathematically figuring out points of where it should go, you want it to go through the center of the clusters as best as possible. And you want to use a straight edge to draw the line so that it's as nice as you possibly can have it. Now, I don't have a straight edge on my computer, so I'm going to try my best to put that there. And why do I think it's a good fit? Because it's going through the two clusters. So the main groupings of the price, the houses and their price, it's going through the middle of those. So you're in the middle of most of the data. So here is the line that they have drawn. And it says you can use the data clusters to draw a good line of fit, which is what I just did. It's likely to pass through the center of the two clusters and then use a straight edge to draw the line that goes through the centers. So that's the method that I just used. Now, if we need to get more mathematically involved with this line of best fit, we can find what's called a balance point. And a balance point is the middle of the two sets of data. So you find the average of the house size. So you add up all the house sizes and divide by how many there are. And then you find the middle of the prices. So you add up all the prices there are and divide by how many there are. So they did this here for us. And the average size of the house was 2,750 square feet. And the average price of the home was $213,600. So it's 213.6 because that's in thousands of dollars. So that's what's called our balance point. That's the middle of all of the data. That's the average of the size and average of the price. And your line should either pass through or be very, very close to that point when you're drawing your line. So that is giving you a more accurate. When I just hand drew it, it's not as accurate as it possibly could be. Explain why the data clusters can be used to determine a line of fit. We just talked about that. It's the middle of the data, or middle of most of the data. You can draw many different lines that would pass through the balance point. Not all would make good lines of fit. What else would you need to consider to draw a good line of fit? It's got to pass through the balance point, and then it's got to follow the pattern, the association. If it's a positive association, obviously it's going to have to go upwards. And you want it to be in the middle of your data as best as you possibly can. Did you or any of your classmates use a different method to draw a good line of fit? So I did it by hand, just going through the clusters. We can find the balance point and then find and try to match up a line through that along with our clusters. And then there's another way that is actually finding the slope and y-intercept and all of those things to graph a perfect line. And our graphing calculator actually does all of that stuff. We can plug in our data points and our calculator will give us an equation of a line of best fit. So we could get pretty exact, or we can kind of leave it an estimate. Think about data with linear association. Is it possible to draw more than one good line of fit for a scatter plot? So if it has linear association, that is where we can really use our calculators and figure out the perfect line of best fit. But again, you could hand draw one. So is it possible to have more than one? Yes, it is, depending on how you went about and found it. So if you're just drawing it by hand, it's not going to be exactly perfect. But if you use the calculator, then you're going to have a more exact line. All right, so this table shows the average speed and gas mileage for 6 different cars. We're going to have to complete the scatter plot. So I am going to pause the video and So there is our scatter plot based off of the data given to us in the chart off to the right. Next, it says calculate the balance point of the data and plot the point as a triangle on the scatter plot and show your work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up all of the speeds. So 35, 65, 60, and then I'm going to divide it by 6 since there's 6 of those. That is an answer of 49.16, and the 6 is repeating. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the gas mileage numbers. I'm going to add them all up and divide them by 6. So there's 27.1, 25.3, 25.4, 26.2, 26.9, and 25.6. And I'm going to divide my total by 6. I get an answer of 26.08. So my balance point would be roughly 49 and 26. And they said to graph that up here with a triangle. So 49 and 26. So it's going to be right in there somewhere, pretty close to there. And then C says draw a good line of fit for the data on the scatter plot and explain your reasoning. So we want our line of best fit to kind of go through that point. So I'm going to try my best, and I want it to go through the middle of the data. So I'm going to kind of go right there. I went through one of the points. I have 3 above the line, and I have 2 underneath of the line. And I've gone through my balance point, and I've gone through one other point. So I think that's pretty close to a good line, just drawing it by hand. And then our last question says the scatter plot shows the standing long jump distances and heights for 15 middle school students. Draw a good line of fit for the data and explain your reasoning. So what I see here is 2 different clusters. So I'm going to try to draw a line that's going to go through the middle of these 2 clusters. So something along those lines. So you want it to go through the middle of that. I did not find a balance point because I don't have the list of numbers for the exact dots that are here from the points. So I am just going to estimate that using the 2 clusters that are there.